But that's huge. And I think you're touching on an important aspect. You know, your products, I should say, obviously of multiple, are designed for certain audiences and different customers. And so you understand to a certain extent that there are those expectations around that data protection, and it needs to be kind of inherently built into the software itself. And yet, I think in most organizations, as we've touched on, performance and usability features tend to always take precedence over data security and privacy. And that's probably particularly true in startups and smaller companies with more limited resources. I know we personally talk to a lot of software firms that rely on their customers to host their products in secure environments, and kind of use that as an excuse so that they don't have to build in native data protection features into their applications themselves. So, you know, Anand, in your experience as a software architect and engineer, at what stage of the software development lifecycle do organizations typically start talking about data security and privacy?
It depends on which industry you're talking about, but in a startup world, in an IoT world, it doesn't even come into play, because as a startup, as a founder, I want to take my product and go to market ASAP. So at that point, I'm not thinking about security or privacy or anything. What I'm thinking about is, what is the problem my user is having and how I can solve it and take it to the market before somebody else does. So for the startup, yeah, it's really hard. So you have to build that in culture. Now, organization like Dish, where it is driven by the business and our stakeholders, then yeah, we think about this at the early stage. So I guess it depends on industry to industry. Like financial institution, they probably will think when they're building solutions about security. Yeah.
Great. So, you know, I agree with you. I think left and right, there's a lot of software that gets the door. And I think particularly with new products is, you know, we've got to get that proof of concept. We got to get something out there. And then all of a sudden it gets to the point where you get adoption and things start to scale and there's no infrastructure in place or feature sets that are designed with more of that data security or data protection in mind. What have you seen in your experience, you know, mentoring other startups or even maybe in product development experience with past companies you've been a part of? You know, what are some of the potential repercussions of adding security solutions after an application has already gone live?
Well, Christy, well, sorry, Anand, go for it.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, I just, you know, Christy, what I've seen in kind of mentoring some of these things is like, it could kill your company. You know, depending on what size and scale it is, it can be pretty devastating. I know in past life for us, it's primarily been like regulatory or lawsuit driven that some of these features and functionality starts to enter to it. And unfortunately, you know, to add on to what Anand was saying, that tends to be kind of the initial driver, especially around requirements. It's like, all right, how do we not get sued? How do we not, you know, run afoul of these types of regulations that we know we have to comply with? But yeah, it can be pretty devastating unless you kind of are at least aware of what you have and how it could be leveraged against you, and then try to protect against that.